What's up, guys? It's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Buildit video. This is going to be about CoM training. If you are not in my CoM training course, this video does not apply to you, and there really is nothing beneficial for you in this video unless you're in the training course. So, for those of you in my training course, some of you are new this week. Quite a few of you are new. Some of you have been in my training course for a while, and some of you were in my training course like 8 months ago, and you know, you just kind of slowly went and did your own thing, but now you hit me up every now and then for advice. Some of what I'm going to say here today applies to everybody, and some of it only applies to a few of you, so I'll try to be very specific. Okay, so the way that the CoM training course is set up, as many of you know, is you're supposed to send in your screenshots with your answer as to what you think the task should be, what task you should choose. If I am on or available, I will go ahead and give you the green light to say, yep, that's the correct choice, and to proceed on. Now, what's happened in the past and is currently happening with a couple of people is they are not doing that. They're waiting, you know, hours and hours and hours until they hear from me, and you can't play like that. I can't train like that, and you're not going to be able to finish what you need to do on time. I know you don't want to make a mistake, but you know what? That's part of how you learn, and it is what it is. You know, I can't be at everybody's beck and call all day long. I have a lot of stuff to do in general, like with the channel, making thumbnails, my own game, you know, and training people. I should be able to train a handful of people, no problem. But what's happening is, and this is not, you know, all the trainees' fault, this is partially my fault as well, is over the past couple of weeks, not this week, but the last 2 weeks, I was playing CoM competitively for the purpose of the channel. And because of that, I had to kind of step back from training a little bit, and I had to, you know, inform everybody like, hey, I'm not going to be around as much this week. I've got my own thing going on. Now, some people respected that and some people didn't. But the bottom line is it really comes down to everybody's on a different time zone, and you have to be able to make your own choices, right? And if you make the wrong choice, then you make the wrong choice and you learn from it, right? So here's the other thing that I've noticed is when you make the right choice, usually it's something that's super obvious, like a 3K launch VU. But what the training is for is it's not for easy choices like that. Training is for, you know, the more difficult choices. I need to see all of your choices to determine if you're understanding the process of elimination, right? So that's why I have it set up the way that I do, because if I set it up to where you only send in a screenshot when stuff gets tough, I don't know if you made a mistake early on and you should have rotated something. I don't know what's going on with your particular game. You know, it's all, you know, to the point where it's like, okay, you got to have a thing like, well, oh, it fits to your specific game. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about it, everybody's situation is unique. So just looking simply at a list is not good enough for me to determine what the right answer is. Now, what I can do is, essentially, if you send me a screenshot, right, I can look at it and I can tell you what the correct choice is based on what I know. Like, okay, you're in Mega, you're this level, this is the correct choice. But then there's, okay, but what about your game? What's going on within your game specifically that is unique to your current situation? Meaning, I'm looking at your list and you say, well, the monster's 2 days out. Okay, well then that would mean that would not be the right play for you. You see what I'm saying? So that changes things. Whereas, like, okay, let's say that your club's not in war, and the next good assignment is a war assignment, but you can't do it. Then again, that would be unique to your current situation, meaning that you would have to choose something else. So maybe you didn't get it wrong, but I didn't know the circumstances behind your game. You see what I'm saying? So I have to conversate with you and understand what's going on in your game. Now, what I've seen from a lot of my trainees, and I'm not talking about the new ones, I'm talking about the old ones, is they have stopped trying to think about their choices. They have completely. Whether they say they haven't, or whether they say, well, I don't type it out, you know, every time, and maybe you don't. Maybe you do look at your list and you think about it. The bottom line is the ambition for a lot of players was squashed when they had to fly solo. Okay, they flew solo, they made some mistakes, they took it hard, and I'm not talking about just one of you, because I know everybody's sitting here thinking, is she talking about me? Well, you know, the way I see it is, if I was sitting here talking about, let's say, one of you killed a frog, you know damn well you didn't kill frogs. You know I ain't talking about you. So if the shoe fits, it's probably laced up for you. You know what I'm saying? So if that is you, and you are the person that I'm referring to, it's not meant to be a beatdown. It's not meant to be like, well, you know, you're making mistakes, bad, bad, bad. The whole point of the training is because you don't know what you're doing, right? So I don't expect you to be perfect. If you were perfect, there'd be no point in the training. People are going to make mistakes, okay? Now, learning from your mistakes is key. Now, if you can learn from other people's mistakes, perfect. And that's usually why I share screenshots. So I can say, okay, look at what so-and-so did, and look at the outcome of what so-and-so had, right? It's not meant to be like, look at this dumbass. It's literally, it's meant as a way to allow you to see multiple different perspectives in a very short amount of time, okay? So what I decided to do in the past was I decided to put everybody into a group chat. Like, all my trainees were in a chat, and everybody was submitting their screenshots. But what ended up happening is the people that were really good started to get confused by the people that weren't doing so good. And the people that weren't doing so good started to feel like they were stupid because other people were doing so well and they weren't. And so I ended up having to separate everybody because of that. And it got to the point where, you know, it also was a little too much to keep up with, you know, when you have that many people in a chat. So this time what I decided to do was I decided to pair up a couple of people here and there so that they are able to conversate when I'm not around. So for instance, CPT and Sydney are in a chat together. Now what's supposed to be happening is they send in their screenshots. Well, Sydney's graduated, but before Sydney was graduated, and CPT, he's damn close to graduation. They send in their screenshots, they say what they think, and if I'm not around or whatever, even if I am around, they start saying, okay, well, you know, this is why I think this is why I think that, and then I say, okay, yes or no, right? Now, with the other two, Bree and Tanya, the chat's not like that at all, and it hasn't been like that at all for weeks. And that's what I need to focus on, is getting them back on track. Tanya's doing really well. Bree's starting to get her confidence back up. But the point is we need to get them to the point where it's like, okay, you guys need to think about it and not rely on me. Because the bottom line is they've been relying on me as a crutch. Really, they have. And not just them, everybody. Like, they come to me and, you know, when they make a mistake and I say, okay, you know, I give them a short answer like nails or glass or whatever. And then I have to go back to recording or go back to doing what I was doing. So I don't have time to type out all these big long messages. I spend more time looking at screenshots in Messenger than I do accomplishing anything because I'm putting in all the work and I'm done. I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. So the way that I see it is this. If you want to be in CoM training, you got to show it. You got to put in the work. You got to show me that you want to learn. Because if you don't want to learn, I'm not even going to bother responding. Like, I'm to the point where I'm partially to blame for enabling it and allowing it to get to the point that it has, where I've been giving short answers. I should never even be giving short answers, really. I should be able to say, okay, you know, this is wrong. This is why it's wrong. And you learn from that rather than, okay, I was wrong. Missy told me the correct answer and I went and did it and moved on to the next. that didn't teach you anything. You don't know why what you did was wrong when we work like that. So I really need for people to, when they're wrong or when they make a bad choice, to evaluate it and say, look, okay, why is it wrong? What, and not in like an argumentative, like, well, I'm right, you're wrong way, but in a way of like, okay, what about this is the circumstance or different or whatever? And what a lot of it really comes down to, it seems, is rotation. You know, after the main choices are gone, it seems like a lot of people have a really hard time with the factory tasks. Knowing when to take downtime and when to cancel upgrades seems to be the biggest problem for a lot of people. And, you know, it really comes down to, it gets repetitive. When you really think about it, everything that we go through each and every day and week, we go through every day. It literally is that repetitive. Every single day, I get a screenshot that says 2 + 2, and I say it's 4. And somebody says, okay, 3 + 1, and I say 4. Somebody says 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, 4. You kind of see where I'm going with that? Like, there's so many different possibilities, but the answer really, it all comes back down to being the same. So, for instance, that Contest of Mayors thing that I typed up with all of the stuff within the guide, the new guide. If you go to your current situation and you look at the guide, the answer is there. You know, if you, let's say you have a glass task for 1800, okay? And you have a sugars task for 1920. Which do you do first? If anybody here even started to think about which one was the right answer, you didn't learn. There's no way for you to determine that based on the information that I provided, because the information could be way different. How many glass are we talking about here? How many sugar are we talking? Are we talking 2 rounds, 1 round? What level is this person? Okay, let's say they're level 24. Let's say it's 1 round of glass and 2 rounds of sugar. That's 5 hours on the glass and 8 hours on the sugar, right? Or whatever the glass is. I think it's 5 hours. But the point is, I still didn't give you enough information. You still need to know how many tasks are remaining, right? So, okay, what if it's 5 tasks remaining? You would probably go with sugar, depending on how much time you had remaining. You know, you got 2 days left and 5 tasks left, and sugar's 120 higher. Points become more important than efficiency. But if you got 4 days left and you really don't have the downtime to be dinking around, then no, you would not go with sugar. Does that make sense? Like, you have to look at your current situation within the game, and people are trying to simplify it based on, if you have this task versus this task, this is what you choose. You cannot simplify it like that, because you have to put it to your unique situation. And I think that is one thing that I've lacked in my videos, is really drilling that into people's heads to stop trying to simplify it by saying, this is the task you choose in this situation. Because the bottom line is you can't say that unless you know what's going on in their game. For instance, let's say you have a 2500 monster over a 2000 London upgrade or London flight. What do you do? There's no way for you to know that. I mean, okay, somebody comes into the game chat and they say, I have a 2K airport for London and a 1K airport for Tokyo, right? Which do I do? Well, that's pretty obvious, okay? But what else do you have in your list is the question. That's where it lies. And then they say, well, I have a 2500 monster. And then somebody says, okay, well, then you would do that. Well, he's not here for 2 days. Okay, that changes things. You see where I'm going with that? So you really have to know what you got in front of you and really evaluate everything. And a lot of people don't do that. They start to get lazy. They look at their list, and it's like they get stuck on the top half of their list. They don't think about all the other options at all times. And they don't think about how it's going to affect them. For instance, how many people here would cancel a glass task at the last minute or on the last day? Not many people, right? But there are circumstances where that would be advised. For instance, let's say the player has let's say the player took the first day off from the contest and they're running behind. They have very little chance of winning. And they decide that let's say their club ends war on the last day. So they basically have 1 day left to do all their assignments, right? Well, they're in a situation where they're surrounded by factory tasks. So they've got all these long tasks and very little time to complete them and very little chance of winning. It would probably be advised to actually cancel one of those high productions because of the fact that they need to open something up. And if they're not going to be able to finish on time anyways, and it's going to hurt their score more by just remaining to do nothing. Does that make sense? So again, every situation is unique. So the best thing that you can do is use the template that I've given you and do the process of elimination. Now, when it comes to CoM training, that's what I expect from people. I expect that you have looked at all possibilities from every direction at all times to determine what is the best fit. And if you're not doing that, then who is? Me, right? Then I'm having to look at your list and look at all possibilities and then come back at you with the right choice, which means you're not doing the process of elimination. Because if I was to come to you and say, if you give me a wrong answer, I usually give you the right one and then explain why, your answer was wrong. From now on, that will be changing. From now on, I will not be giving you the right answer until you walk through it with me, until you say, this is what I'm thinking and this is how I came to the conclusion that I came to on this particular decision. Because the bottom line is, I can't just keep giving people answers. It's not, people shouldn't need a month and a half worth of training and still not understand when it's appropriate to cancel an upgrade or when it's the right choice to do the monster or, just basic stuff. I mean, and that's after hundreds of minutes of videos, thousands of minutes of videos and months of training. What the hell am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I probably have like 600 videos and they all say the same thing, just in a different way when it really comes down to it. So if you really want to learn and you want to get this shit down, then you need to really start putting in some thought. You need to go through every task and start memorizing what you know. By the time you finish one round of CoM, you shouldn't even need to look at that stupid contest emitters list because you should have it all down. Okay? So if you're just looking at an easy way to win, this is not what CoM training is for. Now, right now I've got, let's see, 3 people that are new, and I got 1 graduate, 1 just about to be graduated, and 2 others, plus 1 more. So basically, where I'm at with it is, next week, what's going to happen is everybody's going to send in their screenshots, same as they always have. Except for this time, when you guys send in your answers, I expect more communication. In terms of, I expect more explanation as to why you're doing what you're doing. Now, if the choice is obvious, I don't want to book every time you do something. I don't want to have to read through novels, okay? I want simple answers. And then when it becomes like a situation where it starts to get tough, when the answers start to get harder, when rotation starts to kick in and you really aren't sure, and usually what happens is you guys can get it down to about 2 tasks. And your options. You're like, okay, well, I could do this or I could do that. Okay, explain. What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the opportunities? What's the checklist? Explain it. Walk through it. Talk through it. And really go through and see. And most of the time you can come to your answer on your own by doing that. Now, then I will help you and will determine what is the correct option. If I'm not around and I have not responded to you in a while, you need to do the best that you can and proceed on and continue to update me. I will determine whether or not you made the right choices. And if you didn't, we will go back to that current situation and we'll talk through it. And we'll be like, okay, when you were at this point, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And so on. The second part of what I have to say in this video, and we're just about done here, is people are going to be wrong, okay? You're going to make mistakes. And this isn't meant to sound mean or anything, but I'm here to teach you. I can't tell you that I should be able to tell you that you've made a mistake without somebody flying off the handle, you know, and taking it so hard that they can't focus on anything else. And if you're at that point emotionally where you're taking it that hard when you make a mistake, then maybe you shouldn't be playing. I mean, really, because it's gotten to the point where it's just a game, right? Now, you do need to take it seriously if you want to win, of course. But you shouldn't want to hang yourself because you got something wrong at a video game. And a lot of people are really beating themselves up lately with this. And, you know, I've tried to be like, you know, hey, it's hard to learn. It's you know, it's not an easy subject. You're doing great, but I don't have all day to be a pep talker. I'm not good at pep talks, all right? I'm going to tell you how it is. Sit up straight, toughen up, and get it done. Because I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. It's starting to drive me nuts, okay? You got something wrong. Own it, deal with it, move on. No point in crying about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you know how many mistakes I made? How do you think I know what all this crap is? I am the queen of mistakes. We learn from mistakes. They happen. Now, some mistakes in this game are harder than others. You know, they have harder impacts than others. And if I can't address that and say, hey, you know what? You made this mistake. This is how it impacted your week. And really enforce that, you know, and get that instilled in your head so you can say, okay, I shouldn't do that again. But it's not meant to be this emotional beatdown like, hey, here's a rope. Go hang yourself. You're such an idiot. No, it's not like that at all. Okay? If you want to know how you're doing, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you, if I tell you you're doing good, you are doing good. If I tell you you're not doing good, you're not doing good. You know, and that's not meant to be mean. Sometimes my blunt attitude comes off as cold or heartless or mean, and it's not meant to be at all. It's just I'm being honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a people pleaser. I'm not here to pep talk you or put on a smile or be passive aggressive or, you know, you should know that by now. If you've seen enough of my videos, you should know that Missy's going to tell how it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're sucking, you're sucking. If you're doing good, you're doing good. If you need to improve, you need to improve. Now, I'm not that much of a bitch where I'm going to come on there and be like, hey, idiot, how the hell have you not figured this out yet? You know? But sometimes I'm thinking it. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm sitting there like, how in the hell are you people making these mistakes still? I'm over here with my forehead beating on the desk going, what in the hell is wrong? What am I doing wrong to where you guys are just not getting it? You know? And what's so weird is like, you know this crap. It's like 1 minute they get it and 1 minute they don't. And I think it's partially because, I don't know, maybe you just took your brain out and tossed it across the street. I don't know. I mean, I would think that somebody after weeks of CoM training would know some of these really easy answers. Like sometimes I'm looking at some of the mistakes that people make and I'm going, how do you even come to that? You know? And what's so funny is after a couple of hours, they come to me and they're like, I don't even know why I did that. Like, looking at it now, I can't even conclude why I would do such a thing, you know? If Sydney told me that on one of his, he's like, I can't even make sense of why I did what I did. So, I don't know why that occurs, if it's just brain fog or what, but get some fog lights. Quit making brain fog decisions, okay? Really try to think things through. Like, really, really try. Because if you don't try, you will not understand this. This is not one of those things where it's like, fake it till you make it. You know what I'm saying? When you go on a new job and you're like, I really don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm copying everybody else, hoping it just comes to me. This is not one of those things. This is something that if you do not apply yourself and you do not really try, you will not understand it. You will be able to half-ass your way through, but the moment that you get a hard decision and you're put on the spot, you will not be able to make it on your own. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, you'll be able to put up some decent points with what you do know. Basically, you'll be able to do the gist of, okay, I've got the main, you know, inner workings of the contest figured out. But when the decisions get tough, that is where you need to focus. And so many people, they have a easier time focusing on the easy parts, you know? Like, all they want is those 3K easy tasks. They get excited when the contest of mayors gets to that point. And if you really want to learn, that's not the part you should be excited about. You know, it's not that. It's the other part, the tough part. And that's why I share screenshots, because you don't always get a lot of those situations, you know, in one round of the contest. So I try to say, okay, this happened to so-and-so last week. I'm going to show it to you so that you can see, like, hey, okay, that makes sense. It's all supposed to be a learning experience. Nobody's progress, nobody's compliments or mistakes or anything are meant to be in any way demeaning. Okay, if I share somebody else's screenshots, it's not meant to be like, oh my God, this person's so stupid. Unless it's like a seriously stupid mistake, and then I'm just sitting over here going, what the hell, dude? But for the most part, no, it's not. Now, if I build somebody up and I say this person's doing excellent, it's not meant to single that person out and make everybody hate that person, you know? If you were doing good, you would want praise, right? So don't hate on somebody else for being praised. Okay? Sydney, he's doing excellent. Tanya, she's really picking up her game the last couple of days, especially the last week. She's really trying. I can see her efforts to try to conversate and get things to happen. You know, Bree, she's hopefully going to pull out of the rut that she's in and try to get her confidence back and really, really try to get this stuff figured out. CPT, same thing. Pulling up his confidence, you know, and just getting it figured out. Sydney, he graduated. He's doing excellent. You guys all know that. And, you know, Sydney, he's like a little brother to me. So he's like the baby in the group, you know, aside from Bree's daughter being super, super young. He does really, really well. He's really active. And, you know, he should be praised for that because he is doing good. Nobody should be jealous of that or be envious or anything because he's doing great. And you guys are all capable of graduating if you apply yourself. You know, Elle, he's doing great too in terms of, you know, when it comes down to process of elimination, when he was in my training course, he did try. He did the majority of what he needed to do. He got correct. He's doing good. The only thing that Elle lacks with is just he analyzes the other players way too much. You know, he's so focused on what they could have or what they could do that it really doesn't, it clouds his ability to be able to do the best that he can do because he's so focused on what everybody else is doing, you know? And the bottom line is, if you feel that you have a legit chance at winning, you should take it. And if you dink around and you play games and you dink around with tickets and this and that, when your club's not in war and you waste that whole day, you're going to kick yourself in the ass. You know, sometimes there's sacrifices that need to be made. You know, if you end up losing and you spent tickets, then that's what happens. You know, but you did the best that you could and you tried the best that you could under the circumstances that you really felt you had a clean shot at winning. And that's all you can say, is that you did the best you could. So once he can get that figured out, he'll be good to go. Bean, she's a little slow. She always has been a little slow, and I mean pace-wise, not mentality. But she did great when she was in my Contest Mayor's training course. I wouldn't consider her graduated by any means because she's not at that point yet, and I haven't worked with her enough, you know, in the past, but she does really well for the most part. And if she can speed up, you know, how quickly she gets things done, she would be doing excellent. You know, like I said, CPT, he just needs to get his confidence back, and he is literally at the finish line. It's just a couple of things that he has a little twisted, you know, and usually it's the really hard decisions. Chris, he's first week he's made, I want to say 99% of the decisions he's made this week have been correct. But he also has analyzed when he knows, like, hey, normally I would make this decision versus that decision. And I can think of like one thing that he had, you know, a little bit backwards. But other than that, he's doing great. Rose, she's new and she's doing really, really well. I would say that she's made damn near, I would say 99.9% of her decisions have been correct as well. But again, she really, her and Chris, they show a lot of ambition. Like, you know, they really, really try. When they send in their stuff, I really see they're trying to come up with these answers. They're looking at everything. They're excited to learn. And I see that in a lot of people very early on. And it's like a couple mistakes and people tend to fall into this dark, like, I'm never going to get this shit figured out state of mind. And you cannot fall into that place. Okay? Because if you fall into that type of mentality, that's exactly what'll happen. Okay? Steven, he's new. He is, the one thing I would say about him is he is really confused. You can tell that maybe he hasn't seen a lot of my videos or that he has trouble making some decisions on his own. So he's been hesitant to move forward without my approval. And the only thing I can say is just do the best that you can do. Send in your screenshots and I'll check them when I can. You know, I don't want people to depend on me to the point where they're not doing anything because they haven't heard from me. You know, I have things that I have to do. I have to record. I have to edit videos. You know, sometimes I don't want to look at 97 screenshots every millisecond of the day. And so I try to get back to everybody, you know, before I record or whatever. If I forgot anybody, when I was talking here, I didn't mean to. Storm, she's doing pretty well, actually. I haven't really heard from her in a while in terms of the contest, but basically her and Bean are at the same kind of thing. You know, they just work at a slower pace. And if you really want to win, you've got to step up your game and just work at a quicker pace, be more competitive is what I would say to them. And that pretty much, I think, sums it up. Let me double check. I just want you guys all to know, like, how you're doing and where you're at with it. Okay, and I haven't heard from him, actually, in a while. So, I can't say, but he had the majority of his decisions were correct when I had last spoke to him. And Obso, he does really well. I don't hear from him as very often either. He's not like in CoM training, but sometimes, you know, sometimes people, what they'll do is they'll send in their screenshots all at once at the end of the week just to be evaluated and then work it out on their own time. And then the people that want a little extra help, they hit me up after the fact, or they hit me up during, you know, the process after the week has been over. They're like, okay, you know, I would like some extra one-on-one help, and I'm cool with that. But the way I see it is this is not elementary school. You are not forced to be here. You want to be here on your own. So if you're wanting to be here is strictly just to win, then this is not what I'm here for. I'm not here to make your decisions just to have you win. I'm here for you to learn and basically get out of my hair so I can teach somebody else. Like, people should be graduating by now. I shouldn't have to spend, you know, 2 months working with one person to have them not even understand a basic thing at the end of the 2 months. I got no problems talking to you guys, you know, and I'm not saying I don't want to talk to you. I'm just saying it would be really nice if I saw some progress here. Like, I might feel like I'm achieving something when I see people actually prevail, rather than I have all these students that are just kind of stuck, you know? And that's why I praised Sydney as much as I did, because I wanted it to be motivation for others And instead, it seemed like it kind of backfired and did the opposite, you know? But really, though, get graduated. Get this stuff figured out. Because you guys are all really, really close to being done. You really are. You're all, like, basically at the finish line. There's just a couple loose ends to tie up, and once you really apply yourself, you'll be there. Okay? So I'm going to get off here, but I'm going to tell you that I want to see more from everybody this week. This next coming week, I really am going to be cracking down on making people figure it out. I haven't even been responding half the time in one of the chats because I want them to try to really work through it. And I'm just kind of monitoring it, you know? But I also needed a break last night because it's a lot. You know, it really is. It's a lot to take in sometimes. But anyways, get what you got to get done. Everybody today, remember that when war is over, I mean, the ability to do 30% of your premiums are going to be gone. So you might want to take that into consideration today and seriously amp up your game and get your stuff done. Okay?